Hey there, friends and enemies. JoPa here again, and today I wanted to talk about the seasonal model versus the DLC model in Destiny 2 because a lot of people are talking about it right now, and it's a big topic of conversation. Even though I think this also applies to every looter shooter that we've seen and will see as well, and which model is really going to be more sustainable. So that's something that I find very fascinating. If you didn't know, I'm a longtime Destiny player, playing since D1, so I remember the old DLC model there. However, I also have played things like Outriders and Tiny Tina's Wonderlands that are DLC model recently. And I understand the differences between which ones work out well and more sustainable long term for either the companies and also for the player base. So one of the major issues with comparing these is that oftentimes players either way won't be necessarily happy. Either you're gonna alienate some of the player base by going in one direction or the other, or you're gonna have players who just no matter what they do, what content is put out, they're not gonna be satisfied. They just play the game too much in order to ever be fully fulfilled by one specific game. So that's something to keep in mind first and foremost. Now, recently, like I said, I've been playing Outriders as it drops, and I really enjoyed the game. I think it's very good. I think there's a lot of reasons to keep playing it. However, one of the main problems that's out there is that the game will launch, and then it launched the DLC, and it had a lot of content. There was a lot going on. It was a lot of fun. But after a few weeks, what we saw is that the game just kind of fizzled out and people just stopped playing it like they were. And the reason for that is there's no long term chase. Once you beat the DLC content, there's nothing left for you to really get excited about. And that's a major point is that the DLC model doesn't allow for your what's next moments that the seasonal model does. Whether that's a new raid or dungeon, new seasonal activities, whatever the case may be. And I think that's something that I think a lot of people should be aware of. Now, another thing to think about, right, is the seasonal model. Does it get a bit repetitive, especially for your more hardcore players? I think yes, right? I'm a day one D1 player. I have been playing every single season, but I also understand that breaks from games is healthy. Taking a break from your favorite game is necessary and good for you in the long run because you see what the other games do well, do poorly, what you like from other games, what you don't like from other games. We see a lot with like Final Fantasy 14, for example. There's a big crossover with the Destiny community there. But the problem becomes is that not every game is built the same, right? So Final Fantasy 14 is not going to have the same type of content that Destiny has ever. It's just not possible. Whereas a game like Outriders or Marvel's Avengers, more comparable, right? Fallout 76. And so when you look at that, you look at Fallout 76 as another good example of, okay, this game is a lot of fun. It's continuing to improve. There's a lot of good things going on, but it doesn't get the same kind of attention and playtime that Destiny does in between its expansions. And why is that? Well, Destiny has done a really great job of drawing people back in. Whether you enjoy the weekly drip feed or not, I personally do. I like a reason to log in every week. It's just like the people who like to binge shows versus the people who like to watch them week on week and wait for the new season and wait for the new episodes and get left on cliffhangers and whatever the case may be. I think I like that model better, the weekly drop model, just because I feel like there's always something to look forward to, and I can play a little bit each week and not get burnt out. Whereas if I play 80 hours in a week, I don't want to play after that, personally. Not everyone, like I said, not everyone's going to agree, but that's just my personal feelings on that. But even if you prefer the DLC model, you have to realize that no matter which model Bungie has done, some people have always complained, right? Some people have always been upset whether there was not enough content, whether things were lackluster, and we're getting like a dungeon or a raid every season. We've gotten new PvP maps last 2 seasons. We've gotten a couple new strikes this year. We've gotten like a little bit of everything. Like we've gotten a lot of content for everyone. What I would love to see is for Destiny to mix it up a little bit more and add some more variety. Instead of promising a dungeon or a raid every single season, what if we got like a horde mode, or what if we got like anything that could mix it up a little bit. Destiny does a great job already because it does have PvP, which I think without PvP it's hard to keep people engaged and playing all the time. Not everyone enjoys PvP, but it gives a reason for like you want to chase god rolls in Destiny 2 sometimes if you're a PvP player because you know they'll give you an advantage when you're playing PvP. So now you're grinding PvE to do PvP stuff. Sometimes there's PvE weapons that can be obtained in PvP that you need to grind, and so you need to cross over a little bit. I think that's healthy for the game. I think having diverse content is absolutely huge for the game, and one thing that I think is lacking from something like a Tiny Tina's Wonderlands that only has one way to like level up consistently, one way to gain levels, whereas Destiny has a lot more. Destiny has you have raids, you can level up. Like you can, the best way to do it is if you do casual content, you'll level up slower, but you can still level up as a solo player. That's the way you kind of want to handle things. And while that's true of something like Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, it's way more difficult. Same thing with Outriders and their Trials of Targatar. It wasn't crazy hard ultimately, especially the first few levels. However, it was hard enough that if you're a solo player, it took you so long to do it, and it's so repetitive that it's not really worth the squeeze for most people. It's just not. And so after you've done it a few times, after you've done Tiny Tina's events a little bit, you're kind of done with the game. Like there's nothing left to do. There's no reason to bring that into any other content. And so that's really where the difficulty lies, in my opinion, is that there's got to be diversity of content. There's got to be diversity of end game, but also there has to be a thing to look forward to on the horizon to get excited about. And that's where the DLC model is a little bit lacking. You know another DLC will come out, but now you're left looking at the game for the next 3 months, 4 months, however long it takes you to get to that point, and there's no real incentive to like get the new stuff because you've maxed out what you're doing. Whereas in this mode, maybe there's a surprise drop sometime, but when you log in to do your seasonal content or to do your weekly story update, now you are back in the game. You're playing it. You maybe see a friend that's on and you want to play with them. Maybe you want to decide to grind for a craftable weapon or a god roll that you're looking for. You're back on the game. With games like Outriders and Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, like if you look at them and you're looking at your list of games to play, if it's not in the first couple games, it's not on my radar anymore. I don't know if that happens to other people, but that's a real issue in getting people back on your game. Unless you're invited to the game or actively thinking about it, the game is not in your vision, basically. And that's something that the DLC model I don't think can fix without some massive changes to how it works, or like a hybrid model that is not necessarily weekly but it's seasonal. You drop all the seasonal stuff at one time, and then you drop a DLC. There's got to be an alternative that works for certain games. We're gonna see with the First Descendant how they handle it, but just in my personal experience, the way Destiny handles the seasonal content is solid, but I definitely think it can be improved on with new mode. We've got new PvP modes the last couple seasons, which is really, really nice. I hope to see more of that going forward. And just in general, a little bit more variety, whether it's not introducing a dungeon, but instead you get a horde mode or any number of things that could be a little bit of variety. That's one thing that I think Destiny has in spades right now. They do have good variety, but for the seasonal model, I think they just need a little bit more. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Let me know, are you a fan of the seasonal model? I think overall it's better than the alternative by a long shot. I think without the seasonal model, we would be bored more often than not. We'd have no reason to log back into the game. There'd be a lot of people who are unfortunately unhappy, and that's just the way the game goes. No matter what Bungie does, some people are not going to be fans of the direction that they go. And it goes with all developers, all looter shooters, MMOs in general. There's just no way to satisfy such a wide and diverse player base. So all Bungie can do is the best, like whatever they think is the best. Respond to player base numbers as far as who's playing what activities the most, what activities get played the most, and maybe try to innovate a little bit more, because we are in kind of a bit of a stale spot, which I will definitely admit, with Destiny 2, where we've seen and done almost everything. So there's nothing has come out lately that's been like, oh my god, I can't believe Bungie did this, and that's what we're missing. We're maybe like a seasonal event, or like one of those hidden puzzles that everybody loved. So a seasonal activity, like a seasonal mission, like the Whisper of the Worm mission, something like that is missing, that I think to get the community buzzing, and anything like that would definitely get people back on board. Anyway, I kind of went on a tangent there, but if you like the video, hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Obviously, I throw a lot of Destiny 2 content on here, but also any other looter shooter that you may want to be playing or consider playing. I've played it. I dabble in it. I'll make content on it. Let me know in the comments down below. My name is JoPa. I hope you have a good one, and I'll catch you all